Welcome to Day Zero update for April 26, 2026. I'm your host, Chris Alogi.
I'm Brandon Perkins.
And I'm Janred Victorio.
And yeah, bit of a weird date today, just 26/26. Hung me up a little bit. But we got a bunch of news that has happened this week. We got some Xbox news, as well as a showcase that I'd say mostly didn't have much coming out of it of interest. But we do have a bunch of other things that have happened. Some people are suing at Nintendo. We got a new update of things that are going on at Build a Rocket Boy. Because of course. And we got more layoffs and some acquisition news and some stuff getting announced. And all that. So we got a bunch of stuff here. Before we do that, we'll talk about what we've been playing. And I'll kick it off here. I have played the first episode of Snap and Grab on the PC. That is the new game from No Goblin, who has made a number of games previously. There's Roundabout, there's 100-Foot Robot Golf. I think they might have worked on one other thing, but that might not be on Steam. But this is the studio that Dan Teasdale, formerly of Harmonix, has founded with some other people. From what I could tell, they have maybe 10 to 15 people there total. Snap and Grab, I would say, is probably the first Hitman-like that I've seen. And I mean the modern trilogy of that, where you're essentially plopped into these sandboxes to kind of explore and accomplish whatever the goal is. Here you are controlling Nifty Nevada, the world's most famous fashion photographer, who gets brought in to take pictures at biggest parties and all that kind of stuff. The game starts with a nice little sequence between her and I think the character is Rio Rivers, a cop who, I don't know if she's from Interpol or something, but she has certainly gotten on the tail of Nifty Nevada because apart from the job everybody knows her for, she also uses her camera to plan out heists around the world, and sort of is interrogating her because she was at the party for one Eric Pop, which if you know your Harmonix people, Eric Pope was one of their community people back in the heyday of Rock Band and Dance Central and all that. And as a big insider goof, he made this flamboyant, rich character that is in this big penthouse throwing a party named Eric Pop. And it's a bunch of fun goofs here. When you show up to the party, the first thing you see coming out of the elevator is this big garish self-portrait of him across on a wall across from the elevator. And sort of the thing you find out in this initial tutorial mission is that he has this big ice statue that holds this giant key, and essentially has the lease set up, I guess, in a way that whoever owns or has control of that key owns the penthouse. To which I think you talked to a lawyer of his or something who's like, yeah, this is a really stupid idea, but this is what he wanted, so there you go. And sort of in the process of the interrogation, it's revealed that you are in this penthouse a week later, having ownership of it. Which good detective would be like, so how did you get this if you didn't steal the key? And she claims that she just happened to buy it and found out that it came with an apartment afterwards, kind of thing, and all that. So yeah. Takes place in 1987, so it's got a lot of good camp value and lots of 80, neon hinged design work in this apartment.
Mm-hmm.
And the first episode is set within this environment. And you uh, have like a little globe in the middle of the big room
Mm-hmm.
that you start in. That is, where you would find missions for other locales and all that. But you just have the one book for Eric Pop's apartment.
Mm-hmm.
And as you complete missions in it, which initially is the key mission, it also show alternate means of finishing it. So, you have this big ice statue with a key on it, and you're like, well, you could break it. You could also find a means of melting it, as well as the means of cutting the key off of there.
Mm.
And I think there's one other, maybe just stealing the statue entirely.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously, you have some security around, as well as other people of interest. And the way that you're setting all of this up is taking pictures. There's no real stealth in this game outside of that there are certain areas that are coded for, security can only get past here, cooks can only get past here, or they have areas that are part of his like bedroom area that's like only cops can get back here, which are accomplished by just finding hats. But the worst thing that happens is you just get arrested, and it just resets you back to another location in the penthouse.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't have the hats, but if you do, you can kind of wander around. And where I'm at now, I know where the hat is, the Eric Pop hat, which if you don't know, it's kind of a, I don't know how I would describe this hat. A little newsboyish kind of hat. I don't know
Mm-hmm.
best way to describe it. But you find this in a cabinet up in his bedroom area, and with that you can go anywhere you want. At least for the most part, there's some areas where that you might get a little bit of trespassing warning.
Mm-hmm.
But I've also found that if you can find like apples around, you can knock people out. They will stay out. So you can kind of solve some problems that way, but you're spending a lot of this game taking pictures of these various things of interest, food, things that could be stolen, all kinds of stuff. And it goes into this menu where it's like almost like a photo album of sorts that sorts it all by the rooms you're in. So you can kind of figure out if you've taken pictures of everything in that room through that means, and it'll give you hints for the things that you haven't gotten. So if you're not sure like what you're looking for, you can kind of spend a good bit of time just taking pictures of things, and you're not really going to miss out on much. There's not much of a clockwork thing going on here like in Hitman did, where you might have the targets or whatever you're looking for doing things, and that having that stuff progress in a way that's you wouldn't be able to reset that without just starting over again. Here, nobody's really ever doing anything. They're just sort of hanging around in their designated areas, and that's about it that they do. But yeah, this photo album, you can spend a bunch of time just filling it out, going to every area and trying to figure out where all that stuff is and what it's particularly looking for. I found a few things where I would say maybe they're either bugs or the descriptions are describing things that could apply to multiple things, and I couldn't seem to figure out exactly what I was doing wrong. And I would say it's a theme of my time with this game is that, there are elements of this, comparing it to Hitman does this game a disservice because it does not have the budget of a Hitman. You can see that clearly in a lot of the animation work and details and all that, where it's like, yeah, they didn't have an army of people that IO Interactive had for that, especially when they were, working with Square Enix and all that. Had that kind of money to work with. So, like, some of the initial cut scenes with Nifty Nevada and Rio Rivers, the hair is kind of not looking super great, things like that. But I also had plenty of bugs, visual bugs. There'd be times where if I was trying to pick up paintings off the wall. Sometimes the painting would disappear and you would just have this like frame of sort with like weird visual bugs on it, stuff like that, and um, get some weird animation bugs and picking things up and all that. And so the way you're planning out the heist is kind of on this timeline screen, which is coincidentally tied to the photo catalog. Um, and as far as I could tell, there's no way to access this timeline without adding a picture to it or trying to add a picture to it. There's no like direct way to reference like what's on this list. And I have times where I'm pretty sure I had room, so it's kind of like a 10-step thing, and depending on how many people you're bringing into the mission, you can assign things on each one to specific people by putting it on their section of the timeline. And I had room, and it seemed like I didn't want to add a thing to it. So that's some of the stuff that kind of happened. And when you kind of finish up the timeline or what you're going to put on it, you can hit a button to start the heist and essentially see what is like little video vignettes of each of the parts of your heist kind of taking place. You might have one where you have a person go and talk to a person and distract them. Maybe a guard that would then allow you to send the other person in to go grab something, that kind of stuff. You see the little video of the person being talked to, and then it would skip to the next thing, and then to the next and the next, and until one of them either fails or something you may have overlooked, or you get all the way successful, and it just shows pictures of your crew at the the whatever the exit is. You have a couple different options on this. Since it's a penthouse, you might surmise that there's probably like a helipad on top of this place with a helicopter that you can use to get out. Also, if you just have the right kind of items, they would just run out on their own. Just show you, street view version of them hanging outside a car. If it completes, great. It goes back to your, present day version of the penthouse. You can go pick a new mission to do. If it fails, it's just like, oh, you should rework a thing, and it might have a hint. Be like, oh, you need to do something about this guard. So you need to go figure that out. As far as I could tell, you can't take pictures of the guards and have it in your photo catalog. So oftentimes when dealing with guards, I just ran up and took another picture of them. And each of the pictures, when you take a picture of something of interest, it'll usually have notes on it. It's like, oh, this thing you can throw this at something else, or this has some specific attribute to it. One of the main missions I got was I had to steal this tiger cub that he has. It's on one specific floor called Toby. And he has a whole thing. You need to put him in a pet carrier, but also needs like one more thing before he's willing to go. And so I spent a good bit of time trying to get the pet carrier to work, because it doesn't work the way you might expect it to. But also you need the second item that goes with that. So it's like, all right, then I have to figure out where the hell that was, because it's not labeled correctly. It's like Toby doesn't go anywhere without this thing, but the thing was labeled as Eric Pop's thing. So it was like, oh, I had to figure out what the issue was there. And that thing was behind lasers, laser security thing. And so a lot of the things in this apartment, you have to follow wires. You'll see wires coming out like a switch or, a numpad kind of lock, those kind of things. So you have to follow them around and be like, okay, this, they're all color coded. So it's like, this is red. I just follow it going up the wall and between and along the ceiling, and like, okay, this thing's over here, so I have to figure out a means of getting my person in to activate this thing and get it, and unlock a thing for them. And a little bit of confusion happens when you're casing the joint, because you can get into places much more easily than your people will, because they don't have the like plot armor, I guess, that you have.
Yeah.
Where I was like trying to figure out this cub thing, and I had a bunch of people knocked out, and it's like, well, they're not going to be knocked out when these people do their thing. So yeah, it's a lot of stuff like that where it's figuring out the precise order, but I will also have some times where it's going through that timeline of the heist and would have the same task that's being done would result in different actions despite not changing anything
Mm-hmm.
leading up to it, and so I had some bugs like that that were a bit frustrating. Luckily, you just try again on that kind of stuff, but it would be nice to have it be a bit more consistent. And the other issues I had is just a lot of accessibility of things. Like I said, you don't seem to be able to bring up that timeline without trying to add a photo to it,
Mm-hmm.
which is kind of annoying. And also the amount of photos that when you hit like R1 on the controller, it brings up your recent photos, but it seems like if it doesn't deem them significant
Mm.
of whatever the picture is taken of it, it kind of will shuffle it out of the rotation pretty quickly. So I would have to constantly go back into the catalog and find the thing that I'm looking for. Which, yeah, and it's also frustrating when there's things like, oh, I need to get this pet carrier. I'm like, where the hell is a pet carrier in this building, this apartment? Because it's 4 floors, so it's like, where could this be? And I thought there would be like a cat one, a specific one, but it was among all this dog room essentially that he has. So I just sent somebody up to go get it. But yeah, it's a lot of that stuff. That's why I gave this first episode a 4 out of 5, because I really enjoyed my time with it, but also dealt with a bunch of bugs. And I ran into one of the main missions that just stopped me in my tracks, where I needed to steal the contents out of this hidden safe that, if you would guess, is hidden behind a painting. And there's notes next to it with clues as to what you need to do to get it out. There are also nearby this painting 2 big bookshelves with each with a book on it that is sort of an out of place book that is a switch. And so I followed the clues as best I could and took the pictures that are like, okay, there's, some tie into this other painting in this other part of the apartment. And I kept trying everything I could, and either I'm too stupid or there was some bug of sorts, but I could not figure out the solution, even though it seemed like I was not that far off. So now that the game's out, I might end up looking up a guide and seeing like how far I was off, because I just could not figure it out, and none of the hints were doing anything to help me out.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's one of those things where maybe there needs to be an ultimate point to the hints, where, like old school adventure games would have that kind of thing, where it's like, reveal layers of hints to the point where it just tells you what you need to do. That I think would be very useful for this kind of game. But sometimes, like every puzzle that was in this game before this point was pretty simple to figure out. The only real complex thing would be trying to figure out the order and the specific like tasks you need to do to get a thing to happen. But this was like complex in a way that it had a bunch of numbers on it that looked like codes, or could be for the dial on the safe kind of thing. But I could not figure out specifically what I was missing in a way that was like nothing else had been that obtuse, which is frustrating. But alongside those main missions, it has a bunch of photo challenges, which are it's just quick little things of, oh, you got to go find this thing that's in this apartment, and usually finding something else to bring to it that will create this fun little extra scene of sorts. Which is nice little extra challenges. And as part of completing all these missions, you get the star currency that you can spend in the apartment to hang up the various things you've stolen. but also in place of some of the points where you would hang up, paintings and such. You can actually hang up the pictures you've taken.
Mm-hmm.
So if you find some particularly cool pictures you liked, you can hang them up in the apartment. But yeah, it seems like some of the achievement stuff they have is literally for the stealing everything in the apartment, that kind of stuff, which would definitely take a bit of time because that I think even includes the food you find around.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's grab everything in a level, snap everything in a level. It's just taking pictures. So, uh, yeah, it's probably not as hard as it seems, but when you only have like a couple people to work with, it's like, okay, 2 items can be stolen,
Mm-hmm.
and you yourself can't steal anything. Um, so yeah, it's a very very fun game. The other issue I've had, this has happened after the review, is that the Steam Cloud stuff seems to be broken for this game. I don't know if it's the game itself or Steam Cloud
Mm.
is broken. So my desire to like try out some of the stuff on the Steam Deck,
Mm-hmm.
see how that runs there, was essentially not going to happen. Because otherwise, I would have to start over again. And I've already put like 6-7 hours into it already. I'm not going to start over on that. That should just work. So I may post on the Steam forums and see like if that's a bug or some Steam bullshit. Because as far as I could tell, googling it, there's no real solution. It might just be some weird little Steam bug that Steam takes 6 months to fix or whatever, whenever they
Mm-hmm.
figure it out, kind of thing. So it's pretty frustrating when I'm playing other games that are working just fine, going back and forth. But yeah, that's Snap Grab. It's out now on Steam. It's going to be coming to PS5 and Xbox later this year, and the second episode's supposed to be out in June. So I'm looking forward to reviewing that and hopefully seeing some updates for this that'll beef up the game.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, for right now, it seems like they're selling them as episodes, separate episodes, $8 each, with a 10% discount for episode 1, so $7.19. So that's probably worth checking out if you like the idea of an indie hitman and one that is focused less on killing people,
Mm-hmm.
at least directly here. I guess they had to update it at one point because people figured out a way to throw animals off the side of the building,
Of course.
because that was something
Of
that
course they did.
you apparently could figure out a way to do. You can throw things, but I didn't know you could throw animals, which is mostly dogs. He has a bunch of corgis with fun little names,
Mm-hmm.
including one that hangs out on his bedroom floor named Eric Pup. So yeah, that is
Yeah.
dressed like him. So yeah, they're also a layer of security, because
Mm-hmm.
if you do things near them, they'll bark and get security guards to you. So there you go. That's Snap and Grab. That's a fun little game to check out.
Yeah.
The other game I've been playing is Vampire Crawlers. This is the newest game from Ponkles. They've taken the Vampire Survivors universe and turned it into a deck building dungeon crawler,
Mm-hmm.
and it works as well as you might expect. Because yeah, much like Vampire Survivors, you have your crawlers now instead of survivors, and they're all so far have been any of the same people you start the game with Vampire Survivors,
Mm-hmm.
and you unlock them through little unlock missions that it has for like uh, beat this stage or get to this level in this stage. Um, it'll be different things, but and you also have to pay to unlock them. And there's upgrades, the meta upgrades, which as you start buying some, the other ones go up a little bit in price. You're kind of paying for increased health and attack and all that kind of stuff. So a lot of the same items there. Also in the town, they hold oh, what is it? They have the unlocks. They have like these special items you find that start adding some more features into the game. So you get one that lets you or lets the map show any of the breakable items in them, which are like little like lamps, chests, anything like that. It'll tell you where they're at to help out. But yeah, the main thing you're doing when you're fighting enemies is essentially going into a card battle game, which is pretty simple in the way that it's set up. You have a certain amount of mana, which is how many cards you can put down based on how many points they are. From what I've seen so far, it's 0 is the low and 3 is the high. As you get through the various floors, you'll probably find at least one or two like statues that you break to increase your mana. There is also evolution, which is sort of a similar kind of statue, but it has a red orb in it that essentially has like you can upgrade these things, and it's like you have this kind of card, these two different kind of cards that can then be combined into like a more powerful card that'll be a higher mana cost. So maybe something that's early on you would evolve, and it would be a thing that you play less often because it might be too high of a cost to play like you do everything else. Because a lot of what you tend to start these runs with is a lot of 0 and 1 mana cards. And some of the characters will be a bit different because they have different perks and such to them. I think the second character you get, she will have a thing that you get like 1 HP of health back after every fight you survive. So that kind of helps you get some health back, though not that much that it's super significant. Poe is in there, the Garlic Man. I forget what he has. The bonuses they have are all pretty different. And like the type of cards you start with on those characters are going to be pretty different. Like the one I started with, the first character is your very basic Belmont type of Castlevania character. A lot of his were very basic weapon attacks, and the second one had more cards that would like give you an extra card or buff up stats and that kind of stuff. And then I changed to another character that's I think she's a weaker character, but maybe more of a glass cannon. Because like one of her base cards would essentially give you more that you can hold, more cards you can hold in your hand. Upgrade that stat. Which then I went on this one stage that is a version of a bridge stage that's in the Survivors. And that was a really interesting fight because essentially it's a very linear stage, but it has like 3 or 4 enemy fights in it. And each of those fights lasts for quite a while because the amount of enemies in each of those fights is like several rows worth of it, whereas I would say most regular fights has maybe like 2 or 3 rows of them. This was intended as sort of a fight that would just keep going for a while, and you would get levels out of that stuff. Much like in Vampire Survivors, every enemy you kill, you drop XP little things that you auto collect, so you can level up during fights if you kill the right amount of enemies, that kind of stuff. The characters usually are their own card in your hand, and those will usually give you an XP, certain amount of XP, which is great in the early part of the game, and less useful later on in the run. And yeah, so sort of as you go, you kind of get these other cards added to them. There's some that are instead of a mana cost, they have like a W on it because they essentially combo into other cards. So the combo system, essentially, you can play a 0 mana card, and it will buff up a 1 mana card. If you play a 1 mana card, then it'll buff up the 2 mana card. So you're kind of hoping to have enough mana to kind of combo that stuff. So when I was doing that run on the bridge, I mostly had 0 and 1 mana cards. But once you get to a certain point, I had a bunch of cards I would have in my hand and be able to just keep playing a 0 into a 1, 0 into a 1, kind of keep buffing up that way. So I did get 2 and a 3 from an evolution, and a 2 just as every time you level you get to pick 1 out of 3 cards. So I picked a 2 and I started having that, and the 3 card would give me 3 mana normally, but if you combo into it, it would give you like 6. So that I could just literally have this hand that looks ridiculously long, like 15 cards, and set it up right so they would combo into the next card in the right order, and just hit play all, and it would just go through all of it and do a bunch of damage on enemies and just kind of be this fun little nonsense thing. And that's where you kind of get a lot of the flavor of Vampire Survivors in this, where it's just a lot of nonsense going on, and it makes for a really, really fun one of these. And yeah, control wise, this controls pretty well. It is a first person dungeon crawler, so there is points where you can just move your character around and not change the view, because you're always facing cardinal directions. If you know on the map where things are at, you can just bump into them and get the item or get into a fight or whatever. I don't think there's any sort of advantage thing to bumping into enemies backwards, like you would take damage initially or anything like that. I don't think there's any penalty on any of that kind of stuff. But yeah, it's a very fun game. I'm looking forward to putting some more time into it. I think I've got like 5 hours into it already. But a good run through an entire dungeon that goes multiple floors can take like an hour or so. Probably depends on how quickly you make your choices on things, and you can easily skip fights if you take other routes. Just don't try to fight everybody. I've had runs ended because I just decided to try this tougher encounter that shows up on the floor and ended up getting worn down health wise. But yeah, so that's on everything, I believe. PlayStation, Xbox, Switch, and PC. I have it on Steam, mostly because we're having the first game for Survivors. They give you a little discount for that, to which they probably have bundles with a bunch of games, from what I can see. If you have Slay the Spire 2, you can get a discount on Vampire Crawlers. So yeah, I think those are the 2 main bundles they have right now. But yeah, it's $10, so not really that much money for one of these that'll give you a good bit of time, and I'm sure they'll keep updating the game and adding more to it as we go. So yeah, there you go. That's been the things I've been putting most of my time into this week. So Brandon, what have you been doing?
Well, as for me, I'm still playing Splatoon 3. I'm still going through the Salmonid stuff. We'll talk about it a little later, but yes, they did a new trailer for Splatoon Raiders, and obviously I'm excited about that. So I've been trying to pay attention and see if they're going to put any kind of promotional stuff and sneak it into Splatoon 3, because that tends to happen with when a new Splatoon game is coming out for the older Splatoon titles. I mean, it's still a lot of fun. And I've gotten a lot better at Salmon Run, but I will tell you, it is very much a matter of, is your team not shit? Because there are numerous points where I have, it's like we're all, like, I say also that, but the other issue is that there's also just times when a Salmon Run session just isn't fair, like at all. The game is just incredibly unbalanced, and it's intentionally trying to kill you. This is especially true when you're going for like the first wave, and the game decides to throw you with high tide. And high tide is when the sea level rises up and like cuts off the amount of space you have to move around to like just a third of what it originally is. And because of that, it also means like boss salmonids show up more often, and it can be an absolute shit show. Also, I have particularly figured out that there's a handful of salmonids that I really, really hate. The stingers, which are basically these huge, like, they're you could more or less call them the Salmonid sort of equivalent of like a sniper, in that they're like piled up on these like this huge tower built up of like old pots and pans and stuff, and they're resting up at the top and just hitting you with a steady stream of that poisonous goo that they sort of leave around the place. Um, and yeah, stuff like that. It can be really piss you off depending on how it's done. And on top of that, I finished Death Stranding 2 last night, and yeah, that game gets legitimately just unbelievably weird at the very end. And I know it's a Kojima joint, and I said as much to Chris when he told me, yeah, this game gets weird towards the end. Yeah, turns out he was right, because even by Kojima standards, this last bit of the game is just freaking insane. Like, because you know you'll be like, there's the beach, which is like the whole sort of afterlife area that's sort of slowly seeping into the living world, which is what causes the Death Stranding. And there's like a section where you end up in there, and there's like an exposition dump that's happening that's like super serious, and then EDM dance number just freaking out of nowhere. And I'm not even getting onto like the final boss fight with Higgs, with the freaking futuristic guitars and shit. That stuff is just incredibly strange. Um, don't get me wrong, I loved every second of it. It was a fantastic game from start to finish. But yeah, towards the end, even by Kojima standards, it started to get just way too weird. Um, but yeah, that's basically what I've been playing. So, Danreb, what about you?
Yeah, I know it's been a bit since I'm on the show, but I'll just go ahead and talk about what I've been playing since then. First up, I'll go ahead and talk about People of Note. This game is one that I've already reviewed on SmashPad, came out at the beginning of the month. And yeah, this one is published by Annapurna and developed by a team called Iridium Studios. And the game was first announced last year, during what I believe was a Day of the Devs presentation or something like that, and it was shown towards the end. And what really caught my eye or my ears were actually the musical performances. It looked like something along the lines of a um, K-pop Demon Hunters, if you will. It even had that look. But anyway, it pretty much presents itself like a JRPG. You know, the game is a turn-based RPG, and you end up exploring different worlds and recruiting a party of different musicians that focus on different things. The
Hmm.
main character is a girl named Cadence, who is all about pop, and she competes in what's pretty much like their version of the Eurovision Song Contest. And yeah, she doesn't do as well as she hopes, and then she ends up trying to explore the world and find people who can help her with her sound. And along the way, she'll meet people like a rock artist. She meets a rapper. She meets an EDM specialist, and it's really nice being able to explore all of these different worlds and seeing, what different kinds of music they focus on. Anyway, what'll get most of the attention is the battle system, which the game sort of um, they advertise themselves as like a battle system that's really all about rhythm. And while that's kind of the case, it's really more gimmicky. Like I thought going in that you would have to use your various attacks and
Hmm.
actions to the beat of the different music in the game, and that's not actually true. It's kind of like Mario Party, where or not Mario Party or Paper Mario, where you have to
Ah.
like time your attacks and things like that. But it's
Hmm.
not even really that. It's more like think of doing that, but your actual actions are going to be like Elite Beat Agents. You know how you have to go ahead and tap the screen was popping onto that number. It's that sort of thing. It's that sort of timing, but the timing is actually exclusive from the actual music you hear. So it doesn't really help to really listen. What helps the most is actually just like looking at the cursor on the screen. which, that was kind of false advertising for me. But at the end of the day, like I did have fun. And the main issues I had with the game are with things being really, really hard. As far as the battles go, like you will go through like various random enemies completely fine. But when it comes to the bosses, you fight them in like different stages, and like after every few turns, they get buffed up to a point where you really want to race yourself to really take them out as quickly as possible. But it's hard because you'll spend most of your time healing your party, and in doing so, because you're missing an attack, you end up playing more defense than you should. And as a result, like I've died in this game countless times to a point where, I dropped it down to its easiest difficulty. But there's also the option of skipping a battle entirely. And I'm not gonna lie, I did that a lot. And, while it's nice that you have that for accessibility purposes, like your sense of accomplishment totally disappears when you use that option. I just wish they found a way to like, you know, um, Dragon Quest gives you Jackie Quest mode where you can just not die. Like that would be nice because I want to be able to like see enemies to their demise, and it doesn't have that option here. The other cool feature that is both awesome and sort of a drag is its puzzles. This game has some of the best puzzles and most brain-teasing puzzles you'll find in any JRPG-esque game, and it really reminded me a lot of the older Tales games, or even Golden Sun. Golden Sun is an RPG series that had fantastic Zelda-style puzzles, and people of notes are actually a lot harder. It got to a point where I um, just couldn't figure things out. I didn't know what to do, and I was playing this before the embargo, obviously, or during the embargo, and there were no guides for me to look at. So
Mm-hmm.
I'd ask people for advice. Sometimes they didn't even know. And this also has an option to skip the puzzles. So it's like, all right, cool. Almost everything of challenge you can skip. And because, I did that more than I'd like to admit, at the end of the day, like I didn't really feel like I accomplished anything after I beat it. So like that's my problem with the game. And there is a lot of charm to it, but I feel like the overall difficulty of things and all of a sudden just giving you the keys right away really um, sour the experience. So I hope that uh, we see a sequel eventually, and assuming they do one, I hope they take some of this feedback um, into account when they try to make these puzzles and gameplay again, because there is a lot of fun here. The story was actually a lot of fun, and as far as the musical performances and stuff like that, like if you're a Disney fan, like you're gonna find a lot of the music in this game catchy. You're gonna find a lot of the different nuances with the way they designed each world to be amazing. They did a lot of this stuff right, but at the end of the day, like I just didn't feel accomplished for beating the game, and that's really unfortunate. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that's people of note. The other game I played is Pragmata. You guys have heard me talk about Pragmata quite a bit on this show. I previewed the game 4 times. I'm pretty sure I'm the only person who's done that. I did not write the review for SmashPad. David did. David did an excellent job with it. He wrote a 5-star review of it. I reviewed the game for a site called Forever Classic Games, and I gave the game a 9.8 out of 10. And not only is this game my game of the year so far, it is probably one of my most favorite games of all time. I am not somebody who is really gonna um, uh, willingly preview a game as many times as I did Pragmata, but the thing with it was every every preview I did was mysterious in such a way where I had to have more. And then once I eventually got my actual hands on the game, I was like, okay, we're hitting on all notes here, and as long as they stick the landing, I don't see any way this scores under a 9. And yeah, the game is fantastic. I've already talked about how good the combat system is and feels, and eventually, like the main way the game really adds challenge is just by throwing onslaughts of enemies of you at once. Which is very
Mm-hmm.
similar to what the more action-oriented Resident Evil games did, which isn't surprising considering this game is also on the RE engine. But yeah, like picking and choosing the enemies to kill, knowing how big their grids are, as well as knowing what weapons you have on hand, in addition to knowing what weapons are there lying around, really adds to the whole, uh, gamifiedness of this experience. And on top of that, a lot of people are gonna, talk about the story not being so strong. I loved it from beginning to end. I thought I thought the relationship that Hugh gets with Diana is really full of charm. I really enjoyed being in the base and just having as many conversations with Diana as I can. You get a trophy for that, by the way. And it is nice seeing the way she interacted with Hugh by, creating all of these crayon drawings that, she sort of hinted at in each of the game's trailers that have come out for it. It's just a really, really nice experience. And on top of that, in the base, you do have these training missions that you can go on that are really fun as well. A lot of them are easy, a lot of them are challenging, and the best thing about them is they sort of like give you different strategies for how to play, whether it be with the platforming or whether it be with the robots that you eventually take out. And yeah, it all just really, really works well. And even though like, you're running around a sort of post-apocalyptic moon, and the main thing is to actually get home. I really enjoyed the atmosphere that we were in. A lot of single player games like this are going to have artifacts with world building and things like that. And to be honest, I don't really read a whole lot of them. Like I think like the most interesting of which that I've sort of gone through that with is The Last of Us, just because like
Mm.
they're already living in what's pretty much Earth in ways that have just been totally destroyed. But even with things like Horizon, I didn't have as much enjoyment reading that sort of stuff, and I skipped them entirely. But with Pragmata, every single artifact I read from beginning to end. They aren't too long, they aren't too short. They all were just really, really interesting, and it was really cool just learning about the various things happening on the moon. Like they
Mm.
have this material that they use to in essence 3D print everything, and like reading about all the fictional science of how it's created and how it creates other things was just really exemplary. And then it gets to a point where not to delve too far into it, but yes, there is a villain here. The villain, for me at least, like came out of left field, and then just um, reading and then going through everything that led to what the game eventually came to be was just an absolute joy. And then the best thing about it is like the game can be finished in less than 10 hours. You can speed run it however way you want. It does have that kind of support. And then the new game plus even offers another experience to further build upon that. I didn't
Mm.
delve too much into that. I'm really having just more fun with the training missions. But yeah, like this game has everything from, top-notch graphics, great sound, an awesome story, amazing gameplay, and yeah, this is now like one of my favorite games of all time, and I don't regret any minute that I spent it all with it at all. So yeah, if you haven't jumped on Pragmata, definitely jump on that one. This one isn't even a $70 game. It is $60. Capcom totally hit it out of the park, and I totally, you know, uh, I will live and die by this game. Pragmata is that good. Um, Anyway, moving on. Uh, what also came out this month is Dosa Divas. This game was developed by the folks who did Thirsty Suitors. And yeah, this game is about how food connects people. You play as a couple sisters who are trying to meet up with their parents at a nearby resort, but their other sister is actually the CEO of a fast food empire that has pretty much taken over every area in the game's world by making them eat like the most basic stuff.
Mm.
For those of you who are culinarily adept or have or are foodies, you'd know that Indian food is among the most flavorful food you'll ever have in your lifetime or in the world. And yeah, like a lot of this here is centered around Indian food, and it was really cool going through this experience. You also have this mech who you're primarily controlling throughout the game, and it's just a whole lot of fun with that. But like people of note, there are some problems. So also like people of note, this game has a battle system very much like Paper Mario's, where everything is action based, and it
Mm.
copies that pretty much to a T. And the best part is there's also defense involved. So, if you time your button presses on defense, you can avoid damage entirely, which is cool. Uh, and at the same time, there's aspects to the battle system that kind of make it similar to Octopath Traveler. When you figure out the weakness to an enemy, you can go ahead and continue to exploit it by using attacks of the same type. And then eventually, if you hit them enough, they become stuffed, or they'll be stunned in that regard. And the attack the attack types are actually flavors. So there's sour, there's spicy, there's savory, salty, things like that. So it's really cool just using different kinds of food to get your enemies full and beat them that way. That being said, my problem with the game is that it's a little too formulaic. You pretty much go to a town, figure out what's wrong, and then do side quests. And every side quest actually is really just being able to feed every townsperson you see. So you're looking for certain ingredients, you cook them into a dish, and then you serve that dish to the people, and all of a sudden you fight a boss. And it's that, and it's lather, rinse, repeat. That was rather boring to me, and especially since the game is like centered around food and food culture, I didn't really feel like there was enough that really went into that aspect of it. Like, especially when you compare it to a game like Venba, also made by Indian developers and focusing on Indian food. But with that one, you could actually like see the meaning behind all of the food that you're creating. Whereas with Dosa Divas, it's more so, all right, cool. I want to make this so that I can go ahead and get to step two. There really isn't any appreciation for the food that you're making, and I think that it really could have been improved with that in that regard. That being said, it's a whole lot shorter than People of Note. People of Note probably took me around 20 hours to finish, whereas Dosa Divas took me around 10. And I don't feel like my time is wasted at all, except for the fact that in the second area, I spent a lot of my time like aimlessly walking, primarily because it was a place where um, I don't know if you guys remember in Pokemon Red, Blue, and Yellow, when you go to the Sylph Corporation in Saffron City, and you have to like stand on warp tiles to get from point A to point B, and you don't actually know where the warp tiles are going. That was like
Yeah.
the main traversal in the second area of this game, and it wasn't really that fun. So I spent more time aimlessly. I spent like 3 hours, I kid you not, aimlessly walking around trying to figure things out rather than actually doing the plot. And like that felt like a lot of my time was wasted there. But eventually, once I got through that, the game is a lot easier from there. And like, yeah, it's just a whole lot of fun to play once get through the fact that the gameplay does feel formulaic, and yeah, the plot though actually ends up being really nice once you figure out why the sisters are trying to see their parents in the first place. And then next up, Brandon reviewed it. I played a little bit of Mouse PI for Hire. Um, and I've decided it wasn't for me. Main reason being, I did not like the way walking around or running around felt. Like I just like felt sick within 30 minutes. That being said, like I do appreciate a lot of the old school style feel to it. The gunplay feels fine. I actually prefer, just punching other mice in the face. Like that was really cool. But yeah, I don't know if this is one that I'll see through. I did enjoy what I played, but just the movement just didn't feel right. And then lastly, the game I'm playing right now is East Memoir Revelations in Salsetta. It's not out yet. The embargo lifted last Monday. But yeah, so this game is available on the Vita and PS4 and PC. It's actually named East Memories in Salsetta. They renamed it Memoir Revelations in Salsetta. I don't actually know why. But last year, they released East Memoir Oath and Felghana, which was not available on um, the Switch and PS4. So they put it on there, whereas this one is just a version of it on the Switch. The thing is, with last year's game, they changed up the art to make it more modern Falcom, whereas with this one, they didn't change anything at all.
Mm.
So the main thing that they changed was like some music, and some people are saying this is the bad music, so it's weird. Like the main reason why this game exists is to put it on the Switch. And yeah, it does feel right at home on the Switch. If you've never played Memories in Salsetta, the game follows again Adal Kristen as usual. He isn't shipwrecked this time. This time he has amnesia, which has happened before. So you know what happens here. He'll just walk around, figure things out as he goes, and you go from there. The one thing that makes this game unique is that it kind of feels non-linear because the main thing you do here is you're exploring the forest or the Great Forest of Salsetta and like, just mapping it out. And then along the way, you find various memories that, Adol went through like right before the game started and things like that. And that's the story. There isn't really a whole lot here, but the main interesting thing for me is the fact that this game really, or I think it did, like you see a lot of the foundations for what Falcom has become here. There are a lot of optional and required quests, very much like trails that you do in between each bout when you go back to the main hub town. Um, there are times where you have to just like follow the plot to like see where things go that are optional or not. And the main thing is when you recruit new party systems, you can switch to them with a press of a button, and that's very much familiar with what we had in East 8 and 9. And it's a good way to see how Falcom continued to evolve that action battle system. I think the other reason why this game was put to Switch on this time is because as far as the actual timeline, this is the game or this is the story that happened immediately after um, East 10, which was the latest game that came out a couple years ago. But yeah, it's been solid so far. I'm nowhere near the end. I don't think I'm going to finish it because I've played it before. But yeah, like so far, it's just a solid game on Switch, and I think that's what the goal was from the beginning. And yeah, that's about it for me.
All right.
All
So yeah,
right.
let's get to some news.
Mm-hmm.
Particularly, we got some dates of some interesting games coming out. First up here, Motor Slice. This is coming out the PS5, Xbox, and PC. Described as like an action adventure game where you're this girl who has, I think she has a chainsaw on her arm,
Mm-hmm.
and she uses that to chop up these machines that she is fighting. Um,
Love the idea.
yeah, and she has nothing but a chainsaw. She must bring this building down by any means necessary. Yeah, she parkours through the ruins of a megastructure, climb massive bosses, and hunt down every piece of construction equipment in this slice of life game with immaculate vibes. So, yeah, published by Top Hat Studios and developer Regular Studio. So that looks neat.
Yeah, it looks very much like a video game. Seems really cool. I wonder if slice of life is more of a pun rather than like a plot thing. But if it is, that probably makes it more interesting if you ask me. So I'll definitely keep my eye on this one.
Yeah, I read something in here about a demo. I'm gonna look into that.
Yep.
Yeah, there should be. So
Mm.
yeah, there you go for that. Let's see. Yeah, this is probably one of the worst kept secrets coming out of Ubisoft.
Yep, pretty much.
That they have been working on some sort of remake of Assassin's Creed Black Flag,
Mm-hmm.
and finally revealed it this week. Assassin's Creed Black Flag Resynced. That will be out July 9th for PS5, Xbox, and PC. Sort of an visually enhanced version of the fourth Assassin's Creed game
Mm.
with Edward Kenway.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems like from what I've read, they've taken out a lot of the um, out of Animus stuff,
Yeah,
which
pretty
that
much.
game is probably one of the last Assassin's Creed games with an interesting sort of premise, like
Mm-hmm.
covering what was happening on outside of that. So
Yeah.
you would find out it's like, oh, you are, you know, a newly hired game dev at Abstergo Entertainment,
Mm-hmm.
a subsidiary of Ubisoft,
Yep.
and all of that kind of fun stuff that's going on there.
Mm-hmm.
You had this like nice little environment you could explore, and eventually would find secrets and all that kind of stuff
Yep.
about the assassins and the Templars and all that. It seems like they've gotten rid of most, so that's a shame. But otherwise, a lot of this stuff seems like they've added some new missions and all that.
Mm-hmm.
I assume kept a lot of the tailing missions. That was like one of the big knocks on that game. And I think that was one of the only games they had where they kind of gave you a quick little like review thing you could submit to, like, did you like that mission?
Mm-hmm.
Kind of thing after every mission, which was a neat idea, but obviously they didn't really seem to keep doing it.
No.
But yeah, it seems like they've added a bunch of new stuff to this, new visual things. Should run full 60 FPS
Mm-hmm.
on this. So yeah, that looks neat. I don't know if I'm gonna buy it because I already have the game, the
Yeah.
original version, and that's good enough for me.
Mm-hmm. Same.
So yeah, that's a thing that'll be coming out in a few months. Let's see. We also got in July, Utopia will be
Mm-hmm.
out July 14th. This is one of the Annapurna Interactive games they announced a while ago.
Mm-hmm.
This will be coming to PS5, Xbox, Switch 2, PC, and yeah, for $20.
Mm-hmm.
Demo's out now on PC. But yeah, you're kind of this maintenance worker at this facility, and so you are. I don't know. This maybe seems like you're kind of in a facility like the ship from Wally,
Mm-hmm.
where you're like maintaining the robots that are keeping everybody occupied and happy and all that.
Yeah.
Um, well, that maintenance is done through puzzles and such, so it looks like that could be pretty neat.
Mm-hmm.
Then we got Disgaea Mayhem, the
Yep.
game they've been talking about this for a bit. This is more of an action RPG,
Mm-hmm.
hence the title. PS5, Switch 2, Switch, and PC on July 23rd. So yeah, that looks pretty neat. Yeah, they have a limited edition on their store, the NS America store for $100.
Yeah.
There's a copy of the game, which is a game key card for the Switch 2 version, a collector's box, an art book, an original soundtrack, acrylic stand, and acrylic keychain. But yeah, trying something different here, so maybe this will be an interesting game. A little more action going on.
Yeah.
So there's that. Out the same day, it'll be
Mm-hmm.
Splatoon Raiders. And they
Yep.
just announced that randomly on their Nintendo News app.
They do that on a random Tuesday. It's literally the meme.
Yeah.
They just drop shit like this on a random Tuesday.
Yeah, so that'll be out July 23rd. It is a $50 game,
Mm-hmm.
$60 if you want the physical edition. Um, it's a single player game too,
Yep.
or a campaign game. There's no multiplayer.
Yeah, it's campaign based, but there is co-op.
Yeah, it seems like you've got. I don't know if it's an open world, but it's sort of at least like a hub world kind of thing,
Yeah.
where you're kind of able to explore and find treasure and whatnot to help you craft new weapons,
Mm-hmm.
such. So yeah, that's interesting.
Oh yeah.
They also have amiibos, a new trio of amiibos that are
Mm-hmm.
$25 each. Yeah, you got a big Rayman, not that Rayman, but a Rayman.
Yeah.
Two new Squid Kids.
They're called Shiver Fry and Big Man, and I will thank you to respect them.
Sure, not for those prices.
Well, yeah, sure. Which I gotta say,
Yeah.
one of the things I hate about the one thing about Splatoon I hate is there's a bunch of like content that they've locked behind those amiibo figures, and I don't want to spend money on that shit.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll find out exactly what they do soon enough.
Hmm. But the thing, so yeah, the basic idea is, I guess you're like shipwrecked on some island or something, or I forget because, they're basically, they're deep cut, they're basically treasure hunters. That's basically their whole sort of MO, more or less. And I'm guessing you're just out doing treasure hunting with them and you just get stuck on some island somewhere. But,
Yeah,
um, it was funny because if you look at like all the enemies are going up, the salmonids, not all of them, but some of them are very obviously inspired by the boss salmonids that you fight in Salmon Run. And what's especially funny is there's the one that you see. It's the ones that essentially pilot around like looks like a big bucket or whatever that they've got. with like a grill in the front of it that they're in. That's based on a thing called the bucket heads that you fight in the Salmon Run. And I hate those little bastards because they usually come at you at 2 to 3 at a time. They can really wreck your shit if you're not careful. And in order to actually like kill them, you basically have to like hit them a bunch of times with whatever weapon you got until they, their vehicle or whatever you want to call it, overheats, and then you have to get behind them to where they're vulnerable and hit them a bunch of times until they finally, disappear. And yet in here, apparently, all I really needed was a hatchet, and I could kill them in one hit. So, thanks a lot, Nintendo. That had been some amazing knowledge to have helped a long time ago.
Yeah.
I never saw the trailer for this, but I will say, the people that play the games know the Splatoon campaigns are really, really good.
Oh,
So
yes, they are.
there is absolutely no doubt in my mind that this should be a banger. I
Also,
don't
they
know if
decided to go back, and apparently they decided to kind of go back to the drawing board when it comes to level design, because you're no longer fighting on tops of cubes floating in space.
yeah, no, there's actually been some effort into that, and like
Yeah.
it makes me wonder if this will be actually worth a $50 single player experience. Because like as good as the other single player aspects were with the other games, like I wouldn't say they were the main draws. So with this being the main draw this time, like I don't know if I'm looking for length, or I don't know if I'm looking for like just some sort of unique gameplay that makes it stand apart. But I am a little bit worried. At the same time, I do recognize that $50 for Nintendo is budget. So
Yeah.
yeah.
The sort of rumor I've been hearing is that what this is built off of. When Splatoon 2, when they were wrapping up on that one and getting ready to release Splatoon 3, they had that one last Splatfest, which was Order v Chaos. And depending on how that was going to go, that was going to be sort of like what the focus was going to be going forward. More like it was going to be the focus on like what what Splatoon 3 was going to be, and especially what the major DLC was going to be for. Now, of course, the Chaos ended up winning that Splatfest, and so we ended up getting Side Order, which is the sort of vaguely roguelike DLC that we got that is very good, for the record, extremely good. It's hard as balls, but it's very entertaining. I think that Splatoon Raiders is built on the sort of the spine of the DLC they were working on if Order had ended up winning. That's sort of what the rumor is going around. That's essentially what this is. Now, the thing is, Side Order being amazing as it was still a DLC. It's a lot of fun, and it's got some genuine replay value, but it doesn't have the depth of the main game does. So, much like you, although I am excited, I also do have some minor trepidation of, is this actually going to be worth like a game in its own right?
Yeah. But yeah, this will be the first time they've had the campaign be the main focus
Yeah,
of one of these games. So
pretty much.
hopefully they have plenty of content there, and I'm sure they'll happily tell you some more expansion DLC.
Yeah, and of course, I'm pretty sure there's going to be some really dark shit hiding underneath the surface. Because that's basically what all the Splatoon games are. They fool you with like, oh, look at all the colorful squid people and all the ink, and it's colorful, and the graffiti and the music and the youth and all that, and then you realize, oh shit, these people are actually like living on the ruins of human society.
Yeah, it's like if Miyamoto and Yoko Taro work together.
Yep.
So yeah, there you go. That's another summer Nintendo game. 3 weeks after Rhythm Heaven.
Yep.
That'll be fun. Let's see the next game we got here. If you remember the Dragon Ball game Age 1000 that got announced a while ago.
Yep.
At one of the Dragon Ball events they had.
Mm-hmm.
Finally found out what exactly that game is, and it is finally the arrival of Dragon Ball Xenoverse 3. Because Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2 was released like 10 years ago, so that they've in a cool way, kept adding new content to that game.
Yeah.
But also, people, the PS5 has been out for 6 years, and people want one of those made for the new consoles.
Mm-hmm.
And so finally, they are doing that. It'll be out next year. But yeah, this is gonna have more of all your classic characters. Even I think they even announced a new DLC for Xenoverse 2 in the event that all this happened at. So there's still going to be more content for that. But Xenoverse 3 looks like it's going to be doing some new stuff. So that looks like it's going to be a pretty cool to see some fresh Xenoverse kind of stuff going on here. So we'll see where that goes. But yeah, that is out next year for PS5, Xbox, and PC. So yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I'm happy for the Xenoverse fans. I've never personally been a fan of the Xenoverse games, but obviously people wanted it, and Dragon Ball is here to stay, even though it's technically over. But yeah,
Yeah. Next up here, we got a game called Moonbrella coming to PlayStation, Xbox, Switch, and PC. This is a Metroidy kind of game, but without any sort of platforming to it. You're essentially this robot, I guess. I'm not sure how you would describe it. But you have this umbrella that you use to perform all of your tricks to get around for that. So got some interesting hooks there. Not really a new idea. There's definitely been other games in this genre that did not use any sort of actual platforming or combat or anything like that. But yeah, this one looks like it's going to be neat. I don't think there's any sort of date on it yet. But yeah, what they show off in the trailer here looks really neat. So looking forward to that one whenever it's ready.
All right.
And yeah, so then we also got this interesting announcement earlier this week from the Echo the Dolphin website called Echo the Dolphin Complete. Essentially seems like I think we've heard this was going to be happening at some point, but an Echo the Dolphin collection that includes, I think, the Genesis games, Echo the Dolphin, Echo the Tides of Time, as well as a new Echo game in that vein that they say extends the journey into the modern era.
Yeah.
No platforms or release dates on any of this, so seems like we'll get those. And yeah, made by people that worked on those original games. So it's also admitting another Echo the Dolphin game, the one on the Dreamcast.
Yeah.
That would be good to have in this collection, even if you're not making the game, the new game in that style. Still, just to be complete, that would be good. But yeah, there you go.
The Echo games are always going to be like ingrained into my memory as like my first weird game. I remember like playing it on the Sega Genesis 6-pack, not knowing what I was doing, and I think even if I went back to it today, I still wouldn't know what I'm doing. So
yeah. They do mention that they have built-in speedrunning support, as well as some meta quests that span across the games to, I assume, unlock other stuff for that, as well as custom courses that you can kind of chart between the games as like a challenge thing. So I guess some neat like bonus stuff here for all of that. So that's pretty cool. So yeah, that's your all your game announcement stuff. Anything here you're looking forward to, Brandon?
I mentioned Splatoon Raiders already. Definitely that one. Detopia definitely looks interesting. And I've never... Echo the Dolphin is something I've never been able to get into. I've tried several times, and it just doesn't click. But, yeah, like, those are basically the two I'm most excited for.
Okay, how about you, Dana?
Are we talking about everything going back to Motor Slice or?
Yeah.
Yeah, Motor Slice seems interesting. I don't know if I want to like dig my fingers into that one quite yet. Actually, let me see. Is it coming out on PS5? Yeah, possibly. If it's coming out on console, I'm definitely interested. Assassin's Creed Black Flag Resynced does seem interesting to me, just because I've heard so many good things about it, and I've never actually played that game. So that's why that one looks interesting.
Mm.
Detopia also looks cool. I love a lot of what Annapurna makes, so that would be my main reasoning. Just Gaia Mayhem, I actually played during PAX East, and I actually enjoyed it quite a bit. That one is
Mm.
just, it's just another Muso, but I think there's actually some depth into that one. And then Splatoon Raiders, as we talked about, I'm just wary to spend that $50.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, all of this stuff looks pretty interesting. I guess the one that I'd be least interested in is probably Dragon Ball Z 3, just because I've never been a fan of that series, but pretty much everything here looks nice.
All right. So yeah, that's all the games that got announced. Sega did also follow up with another weird thing they announced. The Sega
Mm-hmm.
Universe Initiative, which I don't. Looking at what they kind of did here, it seems like, at least right now, it's just like, hey, here's games that came out a long time ago, and no real. It's not like the weird like super game thing they talked about a while ago, where they had like the 5 games they wanted to remake for the modern era, of
Mm-hmm.
which we've only gotten like one of those games. This just seems like maybe a site that you can go and do some stuff in. Um, like there's this weird like TV thing that has buttons on it that you could, I guess, hit. I don't know, but I don't know what any of this is for. Um, just maybe a thing that talks about the impact of these games, what they were,
Mm-hmm.
I guess. But yeah, I don't know. Has a bunch of stuff here. I'm trying to see if I can find the specific games. Um, yeah, there's like, let's see what's on this list here. There's Fantasy Zone, Outrun, Streets of Rage, Renta Hero, Guardian Heroes, Knights, Dynamite Deca, Sakura Wars, and SGGG, which I think was the Dreamcast game. They're kind of running Sega itself. So yeah, they kind of just go through with like little things about that. But yeah, I don't know. It'd be nice if they brought some of these, especially some of the stuff that we never really got, like SGGG.
Yeah,
Um,
seriously.
I don't know that I believe they're going to do things for all of these games. Maybe we'll get a new collection. That'd be great. They've uh, delisted a lot of those other collections they've done. So yeah, maybe something will come out of this. We'll see. For now, it's just kind of like, there's this thing that we're thinking about doing.
All right.
So yeah, there you go. The new weird Sega thing.
Yeah, I don't really know what to think about this one yet. So
Yeah. But yeah, we got some news on Pragmata, a sales milestone that they hit 1 million copies sold in 2 days,
Mm-hmm.
which is good for a new IP, especially one that got delayed for as long as it has been.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we haven't not gotten any more since then, so we'll probably find out if it gets to 2 million or something later. But
Mm-hmm.
for now, it's a pretty good start for that game.
Yeah, and especially when it's a completely new IP as well.
Yeah.
yeah, like Chris just went over it. Like this game was often delayed. I think we talked about it like last generation, right? I don't
Mm-hmm.
remember. But if you guys remember, a couple years ago, there was a game by the name of Kunitsugami Path of the Goddess. Um, that game was amazing. It's not Pragmata good, but I loved seeing Capcom take a chance with new IP. And not everything's gonna hit. Obviously Kunitsugami didn't didn't hit as far as sales go, but I'm happy to see Pragmata doing well.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I was at Sunright Boba Tea yesterday, and I bought some specially um, limited edition Pragmata Boba. So like that was fun. Love being able to support in my own way there, and hopefully we get to see more of it somehow, some way soon. I also saw that like Capcom is doing like videos turning Diana into a VTuber.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously like that'll lead to like some other strange things happening down the line, but I'm not talking about the freaks. So again, more Progmod is always good for me, and I'm happy to see that
Mm-hmm.
they sold 1 million.
Yeah. So yeah, there you go. some good news there. Then we got an acquisition here. Atari has acquired emulation studio Implicit Conversions.
Mm-hmm.
This is the studio that has been doing a lot of the PlayStation Plus Premium Classic emulation. So a lot of the PS1, PS2, and PSP stuff. It's been through their services. So, but they've also been doing work with some of the Atari collections and all that. So they've been branching out a good bit. And so this is, Atari kind of adding to their repertoire of emulation studios that can do a bunch of that kind of cool stuff with all that. So makes a lot of sense for what they would be interested in at the moment. So yeah, they worked with Digital Clips on the Mortal Kombat Legacy collection, the Rayman collection, and other games. So yeah, that is a pretty neat thing that Atari now essentially controls can bring to their own back catalog as well as any company that wants to work with them.
Yep.
So yeah, there you go. Some positive news, it seems like.
Mm-hmm.
And let's get to the Xbox news of the week.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a couple of these, but the first big one with that leaked memo, they were talking about potentially making adjustments to the price of Game Pass. That ended up coming to pass this week as they have taken Call of Duty out of the new releases that would be coming to Game Pass for I think just Ultimate. And the price of Game Pass Ultimate has been lowered from $30 a month to $23 a month. I think PC Game Pass is being lowered from $16.50 a month to $14 a month. Which the $23 a month is still more than it was costing last year. So it's still an increase overall. But they found a different price that still got them more money than they were making before. And now they can get all these people to buy Call of Duty as well. So yeah, that's the big change here. But I would not be surprised if it's not the last, because they still seem to be talking about this like more modular subscription service for Game Pass, and I don't. That's going to be an interesting problem to solve, but they at least made this a little bit better. I'm not going to say it's one that is a price that I'm like, oh, now I'll pay. No, it's fine.
Yeah, as Chris mentioned, like overall for Microsoft, it is still a net gain because, like, the price beforehand was $20 or $20, I believe, right? Something like that. And it's 22, so they're definitely still making a little bit more. But at the same time, it is good to like see some sort of decrease there. I don't believe this was planned. I do believe that this was an Asha thing. I don't know. You can go ahead and say I'm drinking the Kool-Aid, but to me, it is a concerted effort to try to get some of that positivity to the Xbox brand back. And honestly, with the Black Ops thing, or with Call of Duty in general, that's not bad to me. Like, yeah, sure. If you're somebody who only has an Xbox, like that probably sucks. But at the end of the day, like, for Call of Duty to really benefit, or to really benefit your company, it has to be everywhere, because that's the way it's always been. If you wanted to, get a little bit more granular with it, you can go ahead and take a game like Fable or Elder Scrolls and have that be exclusive. And we'll talk about this later. But yeah, Call of Duty is something that needs to be available for everybody, because we're in the middle of the generation, or we're maybe at the end of the generation, and you can't let people just force them to get an Xbox just because of something that happened a year ago. So yeah, it's not something I'd be too worried about. But yeah, as someone that does have Game Pass, and as someone that doesn't really care about Call of Duty, it's cool to know that we're back at 22. We're not at 20, but 22 is there. And at $30, Game Pass was no longer the best value in gaming, and at 20 it was. 22, we're kind of back there, but again, still a net gain for Microsoft.
Yeah. I don't see myself resubscribing or anything because it's still a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
And the means that you could get for getting it cheaper, like Microsoft Rewards,
Mm-hmm.
they gutted that whole thing in some really annoying ways. So yeah,
Mm.
that's kind of the whole thing there. It also presents an interesting thing here where they seem to be looking at the current exclusivity policy that they
Mm-hmm.
are have been operating under, which has a new Gears of War game and a Halo game coming to PlayStation later this year, as well
Mm-hmm.
as Forza Horizon 6 and some of these other games.
Mm.
But it seems like this company-wide memo came out earlier this week that they say here, along the way, we will reevaluate our approach to exclusivity,
Mm-hmm.
windowing, and AI, and share more as we learn and decide. The heads of Xbox also posted, I think, a thing called, oh, what was it called? It's like uh, We at Xbox or something like that. That's it's just like you know um, a big thing restating their uh, brand identity. Yeah, we are Xbox. Their brand identity, I guess. A lot of corporate speak, and I would not be surprised if a lot of this was written with Copilot,
Mm-hmm.
because some of it just doesn't make any sense to it. They have this like 10 points list here. That's like this is what we stand by, and one of them's makers over managers.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, they are essentially having voluntary layoffs
Mm-hmm.
right now of a bunch of people, and we know that Xbox has never really cared about the people that work there that aren't the managers and whatnot, execs,
Mm-hmm.
because they do a lot of the contractor stuff, allowing a lot of the workers to be like 18-month contractors that will not uh, stay there for very long and will not build up the institutional knowledge of making these games
Mm-hmm.
in a way that benefits everybody. Um, so yeah, they're kind of going all on all this stuff. It would be hilarious if they decide to pull back on the exclusive stuff after releasing one Gears of War game, a remake of the first Halo game, the new Forza Horizon game, and a couple other things like Starfield. Uh, Basically saying like, "Hey, we'll make all this money for now off of PlayStation, but we'll pull it back in to our platform that probably won't sell that well,
Mm-hmm.
even with the changes they seem to be making, because the current Xboxes are not doing very well at all for various
Mm-hmm.
reasons. I don't know, making a much more expensive Xbox for the next gen is
Mm-hmm.
gonna change anything there, but yeah. So there's like all your Xbox stuff that seems to be going on right now. Yeah, I don't know if you have anything to add, Brandon.
Not really. Because I don't really even, like, honestly, I don't even play with my Xbox anymore. So,
Yeah. How about you, Danner?
I was like talking about it earlier. I can definitely see respect in Xbox's strategy of having a bunch of games released on things like PlayStation also. I'm talking about games like the upcoming Halo campaign Evolved, whatever it may be. But at the end of the day, like even though we're like trying to get out of that mindset, what really sells consoles, if you want to sell those boxes, are exclusives. People are talking about how the Switch 2 lacks hype, but the reason why it's selling so well is because they're actually available. And at the same time it's the newest thing, whereas both the PS5 and the Xbox Series X have seen price increases over the last year or two. And then in regards to just, Xbox, like we've seen them buy companies left and right. And if you're going to do that, like you would hope it would lead to exclusives, especially if you're somebody that follows the Xbox ecosystem. If you've left already and you went to PlayStation or Nintendo or PC, whatever it may be, and like you completely abandoned Xbox, the only way to get these people back is to get stuff that you can only get on your box. And Until like they really adopt that, like it's going to stay that way. The problem is it might be too little too late. And we always say this about every new Xbox console that comes out, but at the end of the day, it's like, all right, as long as I can get stuff exclusively for that box and it's good, they're just going to stay where they are. So
Yeah. Yeah, so that's the big Xbox dilemma right now.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's even word that they're supposed PC console hybrid. They may not at least emphasize as much that you can get other PC storefronts on it. I would find it hilarious if they lock it down to like the
Mm-hmm.
the Windows Store, because that thing is a hunk of junk. But maybe they would finally improve it. I don't know. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
not tried like what that stuff feels like on Windows 11 or any of the handheld stuff, but it would have to be
yeah,
better.
especially since they spent the last 2 years with the whole "this is an Xbox" campaign, which is now kaputs. But at the same
Mm-hmm.
time, like that, like from what I've heard, I've never actually like played one for an extended period of time. But people that have the ROG Xbox Ally X are really happy with it. It's gotten to a point where, whether they're like people in media like us who are getting games codes, like they're preferring to get the PC or Xbox version just because they can bring it with them anywhere, and that's something really really powerful that the Switch and Steam Deck started. So if Xbox can get the good stuff on their box, that's what it'll take.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
those things are definitely not cheap. I was just double checking. The ROG Ally X is $1,000. So yeah, if you are buying one of those, you damn well want to use.
Yeah, yeah. I'm not saying go out and buy one of those. I'm just saying the people that have them like them, and they should because they spent so much money on them.
Yeah. So yeah, there's that. We're not done with Assassin's Creed news because Assassin's Creed Hex seems like it's lost its second director this
Mm-hmm.
year. Because we talked about previously, Clint Hawking, who was creative director on the game, left at the end of February, and it seems like now 2 months later, the game director Benoit Richer has departed to co-found an indie studio of industry veterans aligned around a shared vision of the industry and experience creation. So they're making a new studio to make games they want to make. He joined Ubisoft back in 2017 after directing Batman Arkham Origins
Mm-hmm.
for Warner Brothers Montreal. I assume joined their Montreal studio. Yeah, worked on the VR game Transference for them, for directing Assassin's Creed Valhalla, and
Mm-hmm.
later moving on to Hex. So now he's the latest big departure on that game. So yeah, this certainly is an interesting place they're in as they start getting
Mm-hmm.
some momentum on releasing new Assassin's Creed games to have people leaving at least one of these
Mm-hmm.
projects. Um, Luckily, they've got like 4 or 5 others in the works, so if it's falling behind, it's probably okay, but not great
Mm-hmm.
to be losing the heads of the teams that are working on that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that seems to be what's plaguing one of these Assassin's Creed games right now.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, considering how Ubisoft has been really going through all of those reshuffling and everything, it's not a surprise that any of their like flagship titles would be having a serious issues with development, especially an Assassin's Creed game.
Yeah. So yeah, that's one thing there. Let's see what other news we got here. Yeah, we got layoffs. Behavior Interactive announced that they are laying off a number of people. I don't know if they have a specific amount. Seems like it's undisclosed right now. Which is, as they say here, a portion of Behavior Interactive's business has traditionally focused on external development partnerships. In recent months, demands for mobile and casual external development projects has declined. As we conclude our remaining engagements and do not foresee comparable opportunities in the near term, we have made a decision to part ways with some colleagues. Those decisions are never easy, and we are grateful for the contributions of affected employees who have helped shape behavior and support our partners over the years. So yeah, that's another studio that does a lot of support work that is finding less and less of that and having to lay people off to keep the business going as a result. And yeah, much like Iron Galaxy last week, this is just another part of the industry that is getting heavily impacted by the way things are going right now.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, not going to be great for anybody that isn't, owned by a big publisher and relies on a lot of support work, supports, and
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, there you go. Sad news.
Yeah.
But let's get to some union news.
Mm-hmm.
The union workers over at Build a Rocket Boy are taking legal action against their employer, as they say here, over allegations of data privacy violations related to the installation of surveillance software on work devices. Yeah, they've claimed that Barb management refused to be transparent about what data was collected after installing surveillance software called Teramind onto employee hardware. Yeah, they say Teramind was removed from employee devices in March after 40 workers signed a collective grievance against the company. Now, Barb leaders have been accused of refusing to disclose what data was collected, how it was stored, and why Teramind was installed in the first place. They described the installation of the software as invasive and said the decision was taken without employee consent. So, yeah, saying this violates both data protection laws and the workforce's basic dignity, exceeding the legitimate remit of monitoring workers' productivity or safeguarding the company's security by recording individuals in their homes without their consent. So, a bunch of fun stuff there that you would definitely be expecting, because this kind of software, not great, and definitely is sort of a security issue at a certain point. So yeah, they are filing legal claims against the studio, alleging they mishandled a redundancy process that took place last summer and resulted in over 300 employees being jettisoned. That's other stuff they're doing as well. So fun times over at Build a Rocket Boy for the people that are still remaining there. Somehow the studio has not shut down. But yeah, they seem like they are putting out that mission about the sabotage stuff this week. So that'll be fun to see what the hell that is all about in Mind's Eye. So there you go. More fun.
Yeah, that's good. As I keep saying, I have said a million times on this podcast, I will say it again. Union related stuff. Momentum's on the side of labor right now, and that's why you're seeing increasing attacks on the rights of labor organizing.
Yeah. And then let's get to this. Two people are suing Nintendo for a class action lawsuit about getting some of that tariff refund money that they may or may not be getting back to the players. Yeah, this involves two people from California and Washington who filed a class action suit in the Western District of Washington against Nintendo in an effort to collect some of the tariff refund money that Nintendo is likely to get back. Because the federal government just started a website recently to allow companies to try to get their refund money back, or the tariff money back. Who knows how long that's going to take and how much we're actually going to get out of that, but yeah, Nintendo seems to be the target here because they most made price changes as a result of tariffs. Because if you remember when they announced the launch date and all that for the Switch 2, Trump had his big worldwide tariffs happening, and they had to delay the actual start of pre-orders and redid some of the prices for mostly the accessories for the launch pre-order stuff. so a lot of that stuff went up by like $5 or $10.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know really how much you're going to get out of this. If it were to be successful, I would not be surprised if this gets shot down as a result. But yeah, that's I think it's not going to happen with any of these companies. Maybe we'll get surprised. Maybe we'll have something positive come out of this, but I don't think we're going to get anything there.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see where that goes.
Yeah.
Yeah, this one's kind of funny to me because when Nintendo sued the country, like
Oh yeah.
it was great news. It's hilarious. Now all of a sudden, cool. Let's go ahead and sue Nintendo for it for whatever they get.
Mm-hmm.
We're not gonna get anything, so we'll just keep that in mind. And if we do, it'll be like $5.
Yeah. But yeah, that's your news for the day. We do have a little bit of ID at Xbox showcase news, which, much like a lot of those showcases, was weird because it featured a number of games that were already out. Just be like, hey, this is on Game Pass already. You can go check it out. I guess the way it was just kind of like, okay. Don't often see showcases on any of this stuff that tells you about things that came out days before then. But that happens, I guess, sometimes. What was the other thing I noticed? Yeah, unlike that partner showcase they had about a month or so ago, this one they only showed Xbox logos for any of these games. So the ones that are multi-platform, you did not see anything but Xbox or Xbox PC logos on them.
Mm-hmm.
They had to go elsewhere to find out if they were coming to anything else. But yeah, they have a number of things here. Let's see. There's Loaf Song, which looked pretty neat. Sort of an exploration puzzle adventure game, which looks neat. That'll be out. No date yet, but that'll be out on the PS5, Xbox, and PC. For that, yeah, Echo Generation 2 is coming to Xbox, PC, and Game Pass May 27th. There's Crash Out Crew, which is the new game from Aggro Crab, the makers of let's see, another Crab's Treasure. This is them making what seems like forklift. One of those like co-op games, I guess. I forget what the cooking game is. Overcooked, I guess. Sort of like that. And also RV There Yet, sort of a big PC co-op game, is coming to Xbox and Game Pass in May. For all of that stuff. Yeah, they showed off some more of Escape Academy 2, Back to School, is coming to Xbox, PC, and Game Pass later this year. There's Totopia, which is a free-to-play game. I think this is former Fall Guys people. They're making a free-to-play kind of one of those games that looks pretty interesting. That's coming to PS5, Xbox, and PC next year, it seems like, but they're having a play test in May. So you can check that out. There's let's see, Deep Dish Dungeon looked pretty interesting. It's kind of like people describe it as like Abiotic Factor, but for food.
Yeah.
In a dungeon. That could be neat. That's come to Xbox and PC and Game Pass this fall. There's Bistro, as in Beast Bistro. A bunch of anthropomorphic animals in this sort of culinary fantasy adventure game of sorts.
Yeah.
That's coming to PS5, Xbox, and PC May 21st. It'll also be on Game Pass. There's Kalanoro, which is based on Malagasy folklore. An action-adventure game. PS5, Xbox, Switch, and PC sometime this summer. There's Speedrunners 2, which is out in July. Golf with Your Friends has a sequel coming out this fall. And then they showed off some more Screenbound, a new area in that. So that's happening at some point. No date on that, but yeah, that's kind of like the most interesting stuff there. But yeah, anything there you're interested in, Brandon?
I will say Screenbound definitely looks interesting.
Yeah.
The other stuff, I have to see a little more.
How about you, Dana?
Yeah, the biggest thing that has my interest, I wouldn't say big, but it's probably the one that was most meaningful for me. It's not on your list, Chris, but it's Inconveni. This is the
Yeah.
one where you're the convenience shopkeeper. I played a little bit of it during Steam Next Fest, and it was a game that definitely has my attention. And actually, it's coming out in a few days, or no, it's yeah, it should
Yeah.
be coming out in a few days. So I'm definitely looking forward to playing that one. It's going to be on Game Pass if we don't end up getting a code for it. The other one that really has my attention is Screenbound, as Brandon mentioned. I did play this during GDC, and it was a whole lot of fun, but it was also really, really rough. So I'm hoping that it improves, but at the same time, there's no date for that one yet. Escape Academy 2 Back to School is a game that I played during SGF last year, but this is a game that you really need to be playing like at home where you can totally focus because it's one of those games where you actually have to take notes. So that's another thing to keep in mind. And one thing that is now on my radar that I didn't care about before was Speedrunners 2 King of Speed. Like now that I'm seeing it in action, like the thought of speedrunning through like any sort of side-scrolling level with the chaos of like having friends do it with you seems like a lot of
Hmm.
fun. The hard part would be the friend part, but otherwise, yeah, it looks pretty cool.
Yeah. So yeah, uh, that was a showcase. Mostly a Game Pass advertisement, but yeah, that was
Mm.
a thing. But yeah, I think it's gonna do it for the show this week.
Yeah,
Thank you to Brandon and Dana for joining this week.
always.
We'll be back next week with a new slate of news and things to talk about as a new month begins, and all that entails as we get closer to the summertime.
Hmm.
I'm trying to see what all is out this week. We got Moomin Troll. Winter's Warmth is out tomorrow. Aphelion is out on the 28th. The funny thing that was in the idea at Xbox showcase, but
Hmm.
it did not list the date. To which I looked up. I had to be like, wait, this is out this week. And so the PS5 and PC versions, the Steam versions, all have the date. The Xbox version doesn't have a date. It just lists like whatever, like it's not on Game Pass yet. That's all it says. So I was like, did this get delayed for Xbox, but nobody is talking about this? So I was like, that's weird.
Hmm.
Um, Everness to Everness is supposed to be out this week. That is a new gotcha game.
Hmm.
We got Busbound on the 30th. Incombini One Store Many Stories on the 30th. Yeah, I didn't put that on the list because there was literally nothing new about it.
Hmm.
We already had the date and all that.
Yeah.
Invincible Verse is out on the 30th, and Saros is out on the 30th. So yeah, a bunch of stuff, and I'm looking forward to Saros a lot because that Returnal was good.
Yeah.
I sucked at it, but it was really good.
We also found out that Mina the Hollower has actually gone gold. Finally.
Yeah,
Yes.
So,
which means it's gonna miss April, like you predicted, Brandon. So
yeah, which I pretty much figured was what was going to happen. Um, in fact, I would not be totally shocked if they end up like missing the spring release date altogether. But if it's gone gold, that just means they got to send it out to the publishers and everything, and that can be a whole thing. So we'll see. But
My guess slash hope is it would be a shadow drop on a direct or something.
probably. Which reminds me, when is the next Nintendo Direct?
I mean, we don't know. People
Obviously,
are
they don't.
saying, yeah, like people never know. Like that's the main
Hmm.
thing. But I would think that they're gonna go sometime in May, just so they can just like quote unquote avoid Summer Game Fest. So
Yeah.
we'll see.
yeah, I don't know that'll be part of a
Well, when
direct.
Summer Game Fest?
Summer Game Fest is the first weekend of June.
Ah, that's right.
Yeah, June 5th. I don't think it's going to be on a direct because they have to let backers know
Hmm.
ahead
That's
of
true.
time. I think they'll just announce it.
We'll find out.
Um, but yeah, that probably won't be too far off for that. But yeah, the other one is Constance. That'll be the Friday game on May 5th.
Mm-hmm.
Then we'll start getting to May, which has a bunch of games of its own to check out. So yeah, there you go. That's your look ahead. But yeah, thank you all for tuning in. If you enjoy the show, for let friends and family know they should check it out, and select strangers that are also looking forward to games and all that. So yeah, thank you all for tuning in. We'll see you all next time. I hope you have a good one, and we'll see you all next time. Have a good one.
Bye.
See ya.